How can organisations build greater trust and consumer confidence? To explore this question and more, I'm here to speak with Liz Green, UK Cyber Resilience Lead at Dell Technologies. So Liz, from your experience, what are the steps that organisations can take to build greater trust among their customers?
It's a great question, Amelia. I think the first is prioritizing customer and employee data. There's so much data that organizations have today, and it's really important that they start to treat certain data sets as more of a priority than others in how they're safeguarding that data. The second is we really need to make sure we've built the digital foundations for secure online transactions. We're seeing more and more payments be digital, society as a whole kind of moving cashless. You know, I don't know the last time I even took money out of an ATM. I don't know about you. But as we start to kind of push people to use, online platforms more and more, we need to make sure that's a safe experience. And I think everyone has a role to play in that. I've been seeing some really interesting stuff come out from banks and insurers. And in particular, notes around what a text or an email from them should look like. And what it shouldn't, so that people can start to spot it on their own. The third piece is this is a journey. We're going to be constantly iterating and making more robust our approach to building trust. It is not a static act, it's something we're constantly going to be doing. So I think organizations need to really understand and start to get excited about the journey that they're on, because once you understand the role that security plays in building trust, organizations can be much more agile, they can be much more innovative, and this doesn't actually have to be a burden, but something really great that organizations can harness in the long term.
And it sounds as though that building a secure culture within the organisation is key. What are some of the challenges and where do they start?
The first is that organizations are really in an awkward position. IT thinks this is a security problem, security thinks this is an IT problem, and the problem ends up just not getting solved. It falls down the middle. And we have these silos within the organization that are just not necessarily set up for success to answer some of these problems. Intrinsic security is kind of the way forward. There are 4 things that organizations can do to take that step. The first is really building a dynamic software-based network. And what that means is, we're no longer plugging things in physically in the way that we did. I'm sure you had a home computer in the 90s. There was tons of cords everywhere. It was a bit of an eyesore. Today, we're all working from anywhere, and with that, the way that our networks work also needs to be software-based and virtual. That just presents a great opportunity to have more visibility around who's accessing what pieces of data, and then also to be able to contain any threats that may happen on the network. Step 2 would be securing devices and endpoints. I'm sure that you've all seen the rise in remote working. Everyone has a laptop at home. I don't know about you, but I have a toothbrush, a TV, and a vacuum cleaner that all connect to my internet. And I know I'm not rare, because I think the average in the UK is about 10 IoT devices per household. So we're seeing this surge, and to be able to really honor intrinsic security, you need to make sure you have a sound strategy on how you're protecting your endpoints. The third piece is probably one of the most important, safeguarding personal data. So any organization that has personal data, which I think is most in some capacity, needs to make sure they have the right safeguards, the right controls, the right protection in place to make sure that that data is, whether it's being deleted in a certain period of time, being protected in a certain way, encrypted, all of that needs to be taken into account. And then the fourth thing is a resilient ecosystem is very important. I think you can do as much as you want as an organization and build all the best controls, have the best leaders, but if you have a third party that you work with and they aren't necessarily, doing the same, they could pose a risk to your business.
And we've talked a lot about how technology helps build trust and resilience, but how can organizations build resilience outside of tech?
One thing that's come out in my work in resilience has been the importance of fostering a really large ecosystem. We've seen, tremendous amounts of success in this area. I'll just point to a few key examples. One would be Sheltered Harbor, which is a US-based non-for-profit. It was funded by some of the largest US banks, and the goal is to protect consumers in the event of a catastrophic cyber attack hitting the banking system. Another example, a bit more close to home in the UK, my Dell team works quite closely with Lorca, which is the London office for rapid cyber acceleration. They are a cohort that's really focused on innovative technologies and security. and they are kind of trying to create new ways to secure the UK's organizations. The call is for organizations today to lean into this, to build resilience, and to understand it doesn't mean you're going to be perfect, but it means that you're going to be in a position where you know how to improve, and you're communicating clearly to your customers and employees on the strides that you're taking, and that is how we build trust on this journey.